Okay, we are here with Steph from Llansannor Primary School. She's the head teacher and she's going to be talking to us a little bit about placements. How are you doing today, Steph?
I'm great, thank you. Yes, lovely to see you.
Nice to see you too. So can you just tell us a little tiny bit about the school, where you are?
Yeah, I can. So the full title is Llansannor and Llansannor Church in Wales Primary School. It's in the rural Vale. We've got quite a varied catchment. We've got children who come from RCT, we're in really close proximity to RCT, so lots of children from Llanharry and Llanharan, as well as children from the rural Vale, Cowbridge and the surrounding areas. We are nursery to year 6, and there are 230 children approximately on roll from 3 to 11.
Your memory's much better than mine. Okay. So our teachers will go out on placement. They've got placements in a primary school. So it'd be great just to get some advice from a head teacher in terms of expectations from yourself, from the head teacher. I think if we just start with something simple, a lot of my students ask, what would you suggest they wear on placement?
Okay, so I think the biggest thing, avoid jeans at all cost. Probably just go for a smart look. Smart casual is absolutely fine. We don't expect ties and shirts and suits, but smart trousers and a smart top would be great. Try and think about, especially if you're working with the younger ones, something that doesn't sort of, when you bend over, make sure it's long enough and all those kind of things. And I would avoid light colours and white at all costs, because if you're working with the little ones, you will be getting dirty. Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. I use that through life. I can't wear anything dark.
I never wear white ever.
I think this is being teachers. In terms of when they're on placement then, most of the placements that we have, they're going to be observational, but we would expect students to take the initiative. So what kind of things could they do on this observational placement, do you think? What would you suggest as a teacher?
Yeah, so talk to the children, start building relationships, and that's whether you are on a teaching placement or just there for observation. And if nothing else, you will learn a lot from the children, I think, just having, general chats and finding out a little bit about them and finding out from them how they feel the classroom works. That's really good as well. And then from a teaching point of view, just get involved, listen to those readers, tidy up if you can see it, glue things in books, get things prepared. Oh, and just ask the teacher, anything I can do to help you right now, or is there anything I can do that will make your life a little bit easier? I think it's take your initiative. Don't just sit there, ever. Don't sit there.
Yeah.
Just try and get involved.
I think that's so important, because it sounds like quite a passive role of just, it's an observational placement, but I think you need to be proactive. You need to be throughout the day, just supporting the teacher, whatever the classroom teacher, whatever they need throughout the day.
And I think you'll get more from your observation that way as well, because you will probably have specific questions that you need to be answering or thinking about. And by developing those relationships, I think that will make your notes a lot easier as well. So definitely relationships and talking, big one there.
So a few of our students have asked, is it all right if they have a notepad or an iPad to make some notes within the lesson? Yes. Would you say that's?
Absolutely. Please do not use social media or take photos unless you've just double checked with the teacher, because there's a lot of safeguarding around that. So just if you are going to use an iPad, I would just say to the class teacher, is it okay if I use an iPad? And I'm sure most of the time they'll be fine for you to take photos, if you wanted to annotate that, but just double check there isn't anybody in the class that, has got reasons why they couldn't have photographs taken by anybody. So that's really important that you find that advice out. I would always have a pen and paper with me, scribbling things down, just to make sure, because you won't remember what you've done that morning. Just scribble things down. That absolutely. Yeah. Notepad, paper for sure.
Such good advice there. And definitely, speak to the classroom teacher, speak to the head teacher. Nothing on social media. If there was something you wanted to share, I'm sure if you speak to the head teacher and the classroom teacher, you'll be able to work it out. But yeah, don't just go start taking pictures and things. I'm sure you wouldn't, but just in case.
No, I'm sure you wouldn't either, but it's easy to do that, Definitely. Isn't it, as well? So just bear that in mind, yeah. I think.
And on that, a few students have asked about phones and whether they can be on site. And we were just talking about this before. I mean, I think the best advice...
No, absolutely not. The only thing that we as staff use it for, and it's come up massively in COVID really, is when we weren't allowed in each other's classes. So we were using phones there, yes. So if you do see the class teacher using it, it's probably for that reason. But as a student teacher, I would just keep it in your bag. Check it break time, check it lunchtime. I'm sure if you're worried about the safety of it, somebody can find something for, somewhere where we can lock it away for you. But I would just say keep it away, and just keep the temptation away as well, because we're all, I'm terrible for picking my phone up and just having a scroll. But if it's not on you, then just pop it away, pop it in a bag and get it out of the way first as last.
As well, you guys are huge role models for the children there. If you're on your phone and scrolling through, children will look across at you, and then you'd be a distraction as well. So, just think about, you're going to be a huge role model within the classroom when you're there. So just bear that in mind, I think.
And I also think as well, how many times have you scrolled through perhaps a Facebook and something not necessarily inappropriate, but something you wouldn't want children to see, and they're everywhere, aren't they? They're like ants, so they might be behind you, or just take all that risk factor out and pop it in your bag and out of the way.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of things like break time, lunchtime, a few students have asked about what potentially they should do. I've encouraged a few of them, to go and experience everything about the placement. It's not just within the classroom. A great way to develop relationships is actually on the yard and out at lunchtime. Anything you wanted to add there?
And I do think, especially now, you know how short-staffed schools are at the moment. I think I don't expect you to work right the way through your lunchtime, but if you could offer to do a lunchtime duty, that would go a long way, just to show that extra bit of commitment, really. And yes, the children, you see a different side to the children. So if you're doing an observation, for example, and you're thinking about, I don't know, how friendships work, there is no better way to see it other than out on that playground. And just, even if it's only for 10, 15 minutes, but yeah, if you could be flexible with your time and say, look, I'm happy to you wouldn't obviously be left on your own, of course, but if you could just say, well, I'm happy to just go out and just be that extra pair of eyes, then I think that goes a long way, absolutely.
And this will vary school to school. I remember obviously being on supply, and this definitely ranged even to supply. In terms of the staff room, is that something that you'd allow students into the staff room? I know some schools don't.
We do with us, and I think that's, one of the many reasons is that's where really there's unprofessional conversations that go on. Of course there are, but there's such professional dialogue that happens there. So you learn so much about children, about who's siblings with who's having a tough time right now, and we do, but I do know that lots of schools are not keen on that. But what I would say is, remember that everything that's said in there is confidential. So whatever you hear, please don't go and say it to somebody else, because it's easy, as a staff, that rule. So if somebody does say something about perhaps a family or whatever, just keep it to yourself. And remember, it's always meant as a professional conversation, even if it comes across as, it's just, just be aware, I think, and keep everything what's said in the staff room is kept in the staff room. Yeah,
definitely. Again, some have asked about clubs, and I appreciate with COVID, not a lot of clubs have been going on, and they've asked if they could help. People have different skills. There are a few footballers, a few people who dance. If the clubs are going on, is that something that you would encourage students to get involved in?
Absolutely. And as looking at potential, staffing, if you've said you've helped out in a after school club, or you've run a club, or even if just again that extra pair of hands, I think you would definitely be looked at really favourably to do that. And I think if you said, look, I'm the dancer, I just need a teacher to be with me while I teach the dance, I think people will bite your hand off. I really, really do. So yeah, absolutely. If you've got a skill that you can share, do it.
And I think it's really important for our students to, although they're going to be gaining a lot from the observation, it's almost an opportunity for you guys to see them in the school. They'll be qualifying as teachers soon. So just think about making that really good impression. We were just saying earlier how short everyone knows each other in education.
And that's exactly what I was just about to say. And they will be ringing you and say, ring me and say, well, what was that student like? Or, we have as a Vale, I mean, we're such a big cluster, we speak regularly, and so we all kind of know each other. So yeah, just be aware that there will be people asking how you've done. So yeah, pull out a good impression, definitely.
And within that, it's like turning up on time. It's not leaving as soon as the bell goes. It's little things that will go a long way, I guess.
Definitely. And I suppose not on an observational placement, but on a teaching placement, things like making sure books are marked, making sure things are stuck in if you've got worksheets that are, so spend that extra time. And it doesn't have to be a long time, and everybody's home life is different as well. I know when I trained, I had a 1-year-old daughter, and so for me, I needed to get home and then I would do my work after when she was in bed, and so that suited me. But but just make people aware of that. So say perhaps, I've got a family, or I really need to get home today for whatever reason, but yes, definitely do that. And if you are able to stay for staff meeting, that is actually really good for you guys. I mean, it doesn't make a difference to us whether you stay or not, but for a student to attend a staff meeting and see what actually happens there and all the messages, the key messages, staying up to date, that is another really good, valid thing to be involved in. Yeah.
Just finally, we were talking earlier about, so a lot of our students, they'll be going off, they go so quickly, they'll be looking for jobs soon. Any top tips in terms of things they could do to make them stand out on their CV or and they dealt with that job search process?
Yeah, so again, it comes back to putting yourself out there, I think. So if you let us know that you, play grade 8 piano, let us know that you've played county level, let us know that you're really interested in books and you really want to do a reading group. Just let us know all of those skills, and anything that you can do to, again, build relationships. So if you have been, like a scout leader, or if you've helped out in the youth club, they are the things that we would be looking for. So it's people, again, who have just gone above and beyond. And I know how difficult it is when you're a student, especially doing a teaching degree. It's really, really hard. Your time is not your own. But yeah, just making yourself unique. So it's about selling yourself, isn't it? And all those unique skills and talents and things that will just stand your head and shoulders above everybody else, really.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a Welsh or a British thing. I don't think we're that great at selling ourselves, and we can be quite modest. But yeah, I mean, and we were saying before about you can use technology to do that. So, little things you include on your CV is like your YouTube channel of what you've done over the 3 years, using Twitter, just recording experiences you've had with school as a bit of a repository there might be useful.
Definitely. Online portfolios are definitely sort of the way to go. And I think, when you get down to that final, you will always have people that look for your Facebook or whatever. If you can come up, or if you follow a school on Twitter, for example, and you can show off all those really, that you've been part of an after school club, that you've done a really good display, or that you have, anything that you've done above and beyond, little bit extra, show it off. Just make sure you show it off.
That's such good advice. I guess you must get so many just the same generic CV. Yeah. Those little things are going to make them stand out. The kind of
definitely. It could be that you're just really interested in drama or musical theatre, whatever. I think that's the big thing. Just make that application form stand out, and you can add to that application form and all your skills by having really good observation weeks placements. So make sure you make the absolute most of those opportunities.
That is some golden advice there. Thank you, Steph.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. This is obviously going to be really useful. Thanks a lot. Thanks for your time.
Bye.